Well, we've just finished hunting Hayden and Jess. I think have been here for 10 days over in New Zealand, and I come over for 5 days as well. Hayden got himself an absolute rip-snorting red stag. I couldn't even remember what it was. It's been that long. Probably one of the biggest red stags ever taken off the property, which is pretty awesome. And in addition to that, I got myself, I lucked onto an absolute ripper of a fallow, and again, probably one of the bigger fallow ever taken off the property as well. Just opportunistic, I guess. You're there at the right time, which is always nice when that happens. But what we wanted to have a talk about is one of the things we brought over with us was the Tikka T3 in 300 Win Mag, and Jersey a couple of months back fitted a Burris Eliminator III to it. I've never personally used the Burris before, and I don't think Hayden has either. Is that correct, Hayden?
Yeah, no, I never used it.
Yeah. So what I did do before this trip is I took it down to our range and I shot it and obviously set it up at 100. Put in the settings for the particular factory load that we were using. And then I stretched it out to 300 and stretched it out to 500. And I was quite comfortable that it was absolutely smack on with every shot. And I was pleasantly surprised, I guess, as well. So the next move from there was to kind of bring it out in the field and actually give it a go. Because it looks like, one of the things that I guess I was initially concerned about is it looks like quite a large scope. It's quite bulky. But it's actually very, very light, which is surprising. So I guess that's a positive at the end of the day, that it's still very light, but it is a little bit bulky. But using it out in the field, Hayden's now probably has taken the longest shot that we've had out of the rifle, and he got to use the rifle alongside a custom built rifle, which is an exceptional rifle in itself. It's a 7mm Rem mag that our guide here uses, and it's got a full dial-up scope or tactical turrets on a Night Force scope. So Hayden, I guess what I'm interested in is, how did you find the scope?
I was very surprised with how accurate it was. I think my longest shot on a goat was 894 yards.
Yeah.
And with the guide's gun, I was shooting similar distances, but then, it takes time, calculation. We're using a dope chart. Well, he was. I think it was probably very similar, but you press a button on the illuminator and bang, you're on. And it was pretty much smack on at 894. It's hard to believe that something could be smack on, but anything can go wrong and you're shooting something small. It was pretty, it was pretty awesome to have a gun straight out of the box, a scope that you just press a button on with the right, I guess, ammunition, everything's in your gun, but for the price of an illuminator and what you can do with it, it's pretty amazing. You can go from shooting a 0 to 100, and then you can be shooting out to 894 or 100 or 1,000 yards with the press of a button, basically. So that's pretty amazing to think that you can be doing things like that just with the press of a button.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I mean, I've never shot. The longest shot I've ever had on an animal is high 400. So I was absolutely amazed shooting this thing regularly out to 500. At the range. And as Hayden said, we just took the rifle out of the box. It's a Tikka. I know a lot of guys will shout about Tikkas anyway. They think they're fantastic, and I agree. I think they're a great rifle. But we slapped the Burris Eliminator on top of it. It's not been bedded in the rifle. It's not had any changes to it at all. It's just both the pieces of kit are absolutely stock standard. We used Hornady SST 180 grain rounds in it, and we just set that up in the scope itself. So again, nothing special, no loads or anything that we've done ourselves. We've just used everything factory based, and Hayden was able to shoot out to pretty much 900 meters on goats on the farm here, and successfully hit home, which is just amazing to be able to do that with any rifle, because I just wouldn't have expected that to be the case at all myself. I guess then it gets to the point that for me personally, I'd say straight up that I never would have bought a Burris Eliminator, because for me, I'm a bit more traditional, so I like the idea of dialing up and dialing down. I make my own dopes. I've got my own chronograph, and I reload my own rounds and all that kind of stuff. But and I wouldn't have thought it's as good as what it is, to be honest. I thought that maybe the marketing was a bit more hype based, and but we've been amazed. I've been absolutely amazed. And if you don't have the time to do all that stuff, the Eliminator is an absolute rock solid platform for you to use, with factory loads, factory rifle, and slap it on the rifle and away you go. And we've just proven that this thing can be stretched out for a long, long way without any issue, and you should be hitting home with it as long as you're confident in your own shooting abilities and able to do that yourself. So it's a fantastic piece of kit. So if you see it around and you're interested, I'd say it's worth a purchase. If you would like that kind of thing where you've got a rangefinder inside the actual scope itself. Like I said before, I was surprised and pleasantly surprised as well that it's quite light. It's actually lighter than some of my other scopes, which I was quite amazed about. So some of the guys have asked previously when we've been mucking around with it about the low light conditions. We haven't really tested it on dusk yet. Although I think there's better glass out there for low light for, kind of your last 15 minutes. And that's maybe something that Burris need to work on, over time to increase their low light condition on the glass. But we certainly didn't have any problem with it at all, but we were shooting in good light. So we can't really say that there was any problem or anything like that. I don't have much else to say about the Burris Eliminator or the Tikka, other than paired. They're almost an unbeatable force. They, out of the box, I don't think you can get much better. So good luck with it. Get out and get a hold of it, and see how well it shoots out at distances, and you should be able to bag yourself some decent animals.